So you've probably heard of OpenClaw. It's this open-source AI tool that has absolutely blown up online. Why? Because it promises to be a real-world personal assistant. We're not talking about something that just talks. We're talking about something that actually does things for you. It's a huge leap forward for sure, but it's also a serious double-edged sword. So let's dive in and figure out if this thing is the future or just a security nightmare waiting to happen.
Okay, so right away, the buzz around this thing is intense. A lot of people are calling it our first real Jarvis moment, like the AI from Iron Man. And honestly, the comparison kind of makes sense. Your typical chatbot just sits there in a browser tab, waiting for you to type something. OpenClaw is a whole different animal. It's built to live on your computer, always on, always ready to act.
And if you want to understand the stakes, you just have to look at this quote. An AI entrepreneur named Kevin Su gave OpenClaw control of his stock portfolio. His command was simple: trade this to $1 million, don't make mistakes. So the agent gets to work, cooking up strategies, running algorithms 24/7, and it lost everything. But his reaction is what's so telling, but boy was it beautiful. That just perfectly captures the tension here, doesn't it? Breathtaking power with absolutely breathtaking risk. So what are people actually doing with all this power? Well, the use cases are pretty wild. People are having it clean out 75,000 emails while they're in the shower. They're getting it to build entire apps while they're out grabbing a coffee. It's even negotiating car deals and putting together grocery orders. These are not simple commands, right? This thing is handling complex, multi-step jobs that free up our time and, maybe more importantly, our mental energy. Yeah, this is clearly way, way beyond your average chatbot. So to really get what's going on under the hood, we need to understand the fundamental difference between a standard AI assistant and what makes OpenClaw a true autonomous agent. The difference really boils down to one thing. A standard chatbot is passive. It just waits for you to tell it what to do. An agent like OpenClaw, on the other hand, is proactive. It can get triggered by an event, not just you typing. It's always running in the background on your machine. And most importantly, it takes real action. It's got what you could call digital hands to manage your files, browse the web, and run code.
So what is an AI agent then? Well, put simply, it's a system that can work all by itself to achieve a goal. It looks at its digital environment, it makes a decision, and then it uses its tools to execute an action. It's a doer, not just a talker. That's the key.
This power really comes from three core ideas. First, what's called autonomous invocation. That just means it can start a job on its own when something happens, like you get a new email. Second, it has persistent memory. It keeps notes in local files so it remembers context in conversations for weeks on end. And third, and this is the big one, full system control. You can give it the keys to your entire operating system. It can truly act on your behalf.
Okay, so we get it, it can act, but how does it decide what to do? Let's take a look at the thinking process it uses to break down and actually complete the tasks you give it.
Its whole thought process is basically one constant loop. You give it a big goal, and first it makes a plan, breaking your request down into smaller, bite-sized steps. Then it acts, using its tools to complete one of those steps. After that, it has to verify. Did that work? Did I get an error? And if the job isn't done or if something went wrong, it just repeats the whole cycle, going back to the planning stage to try again. This whole framework is called REACT, for reason and act, and it's what lets it handle problems all on its own. Ultimately, it all boils down to a really simple formula. OpenClaw's behavior is just a combination of the AI model you pick for its brain, the tools you give it, and, crucially, the permissions you grant it. And that last part is everything. You are the one who decides if it's a helpful research assistant that can only read files or a demolition bot that can delete your entire system.
And that right there brings us to the dark side of this powerful tool. Because when you give something the ability to control your entire digital life, there's a huge potential for things to go catastrophically wrong.
And these security threats aren't just some abstract theory. They fall into several major categories, and if you're even thinking of running an agent like this, you absolutely need to understand them.
Let's break down the biggest risks. First, there's prompt injection. That's where a malicious email or website could trick your agent into doing something awful. Then there's over-permissioning. That's you giving it admin access, where one little mistake can turn into a system-wide disaster. You could install a malicious plugin that turns OpenClaw into spyware. It could also suffer from credential leakage, where your API keys and passwords get stolen. But maybe the scariest one of all, exposed endpoints. You make one simple mistake in the setup, and you could expose your agent to the entire internet for anyone to control. And this isn't just speculation. A real-world disaster, a security vulnerability with its own official CVE number,
showed everyone just how dangerous this technology can be.
So, in early 2026, this exact vulnerability was discovered. Attackers could use a technique to basically hijack the connection to the agent and steal the user's authentication tokens. Once they had those tokens, it was game over. They could remotely turn off all the safety features and take total control of the user's computer. Now, they did patch it, but it was a massive wake-up call that self-hosted does not automatically mean secure.
And the chaos wasn't just technical. During a mandatory rebrand of the project, scammers were quick to hijack the old social media accounts. They used that leftover trust to promote a fake crypto token, which briefly hit a market cap of $16 million before it all came crashing down. It's just another reminder that the hype around this project can create huge financial risks too.
So, we've seen the incredible power, and we've seen the terrifying dangers. Let's bring it all together and land on a final verdict for OpenClaw.
All right, let's weigh the pros and cons. On the one hand, yes, it can take real action, which is amazing for complex workflows. And being able to run it locally is a huge win for privacy. But on the other hand, the blast radius is enormous. It inherits your permissions, so any mistake it makes could be catastrophic. It's super vulnerable to prompt injection, and the complex setup means it's way too easy to misconfigure something and leave a major security hole wide open.
So what's the bottom line? Here it is. For developers and tech-savvy tinkers who really get the risks, OpenClaw is an incredible tool for controlled, low-risk automation. But for the average user, our verdict is to skip it, at least for now. If you can't confidently sandbox it, meaning run it in a safe, isolated environment and strictly lock down what it's allowed to do, the security risk is just too high.
And that leaves us right back where we started, with the big question. Is this incredible, powerful, and kinda scary tool the future of how we use our computers? Or is it a beautiful, mesmerizing disaster just waiting to happen? Right now, it really feels like the answer could be both.